Why do you say that, Father? You aren't afraid, are you?
No, but I respect some of the superstitions of others. Often they are founded in fact.
This is the time. This is your call to arms. The Cryptid Connection is your voice. We're your hosts, Stephen and Jennifer.
So wherever you find yourself, get enthusiastic and ready to experience the Cryptid Connection.
Let's get this chat started. Let's get on with this part 2 interview with Chris James.
To have a Bigfoot sighting halfway between Freer and Laredo, there's no explanation for it. There have also been Bigfoot sightings at Lake Alice, which once again, there are no big trees around there. There are trees around the lake simply because there's a water source. But if you look at the Lake Alice from a satellite, it's farm fields for miles in every direction. Bigfoot would have to get down on his hands and knees and crawl through a bar ditch in order to get from one place to another without being seen, unless he is somehow coming and going through other means, which
I think you don't do that. Don't do what you're doing.
Did you hear that just now?
Hear what?
Oh, thank goodness.
My husband's being an incompetent person.
I don't know why, but I had opened up. I'm looking up on Google right now. Hold on. I'm looking up on Google Maps. I want to look up Lake Alice.
I'm sorry, Chris, if you'll continue your story.
Yes, please go ahead.
Well, Lake Alice, or Alice Lake, is just about 3 miles north of the city of Alice. Alice is it's about 2/3 of the way between Laredo and Corpus Christi. It's a little bitty town, lots of history in the area. The Headless Horseman of Texas, that's supposedly his last resting area, is just south of Alice in a little town called Ben Bolt. And people think Headless Horseman, they think Sleepy Hollow, up north, cold country, people with tricorn hats, and they don't realize that there was a Headless Horseman in Texas.
I was going to say, I've been to Sleepy Hollow, and I actually used to live up near there, so I had no idea there was a Headless Horseman of Texas. That's intriguing. I'm going to look that up later.
Chris?
Wait. Yes.
I'm going to disagree with you.
On which?
On Lake Alice. I'm looking at satellite imagery of Lake Alice. I can see perfectly well why there could be Bigfoot sightings there. And I'll tell you why. You have a fully functional waterway system that is going across those farm fields that is wooded, has continuous cover many miles going north.
It's not wooded like you'd find up around Jefferson, though. We've got
no, not at all. It's going to when I say wooded, I'm thinking a West Texas wooded. This is going to be cedar. This is going to be scrub oak, and probably not more than 12 feet tall at its highest.
How about 6 feet tall?
6 feet? Okay, I see. Yeah. That's really bad.
See, we actually hit a lake a couple of weeks ago, and the vegetation was surprising for having heard there was a sighting there as well. So I can get on your boat there. I'm looking at the satellite image, and I'm wondering, I don't know if there's enough cover myself.
It looks a lot better from above than it does when you're standing on the ground looking at it.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's it. You guys have got me going to Street View.
Well, now, hold on. I think I'm going to change the subject here a little bit, if
Go
I
ahead.
may.
You may.
If I'm Chris, were you finished with your topic? Because I know you don't edit a lot, and I don't want to bother.
No, that's perfectly fine.
I apologize. Okay, so I have a little game that I like to play with our guests. It's called the Quick Cryptid Connection Query. And I'm going to name off a series of cryptids. And if you believe or have a theory that they might exist in some form, I want you to say yay. If you do not believe that they exist and that they are only a myth, I want you to say nay. If you have never heard of this said cryptid, I would like you to say what? How does that sound?
Do I have to use those words in particular?
No, sir, you do not.
Just their meanings.
Yeah. Attack.
Okay, let's start with the Baku.
Baku. I have not heard of that one.
Cali Greyhound.
Nope, haven't heard of it.
Cerberus.
Cerberus I've heard of. The multi-headed dog. He had 3 heads, and he guarded the pits to Hades.
Dragon.
Dragons? There's got to be something to dragons. China and Japan, England, they talk about them in their history all the time. There's got to be something to them. I just don't think they're around anymore.
Fair enough. Satyr.
The satyr. That's like half man, half goat, which was the original image used by the church to describe Satan because they wanted people to stop worshiping Pan as an entity, but it's possible. Goat Man. He's been sighted all over the area along the Sabine River and the Poplick Bridge. They have a goat man that hangs out under there.
Ah.
We actually have a goat man that is sighted just south of where we live in Abilene. Probably about 25 miles, 30 miles south. And then we have that lake that we were just talking about that's in that same region. That we heard the one Sasquatch report on, and then when we were there, we actually ran across someone who said that was number 5 they had now heard in the last 2 years. So we have 5 there. So we've got 5 Sasquatch plus 1 goat man. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No biggie.
Chupacabra.
Chupacabras, yes. The blue dog, the one that we have here in Texas, I don't think is related to the creature that was reported in Puerto Rico. And what a lot of people don't realize, back in 1936, I believe, there was a creature running around southern Arkansas that they referred to as the killer kangaroo. It would hop like a kangaroo. It was kind of shaped like a kangaroo. It had little bitty bat wings in the middle of its shoulders. It would suck all the blood out of small animals, calves, goats, dogs. The people of the town chased it with shotguns and rifles. It fled south from the southern part of Arkansas. They've never seen it again. Like I said, that was back in 1935 or 36, I believe.
Intriguing.
So that looked a lot more like the chupacabras from Puerto Rico and not the blue dog that people are reporting here in Texas.
How about the jackalope?
The jackalope is something you find in truck stops that tourists buy to take back to the northern part of the country and show people that don't know anything about nature.
I have some hidden gems in here. How about the Kirin?
Kirin. I don't know what the Kirin is.
How about the Lamassu?
Lamassu. Is that from the Philippines?
Yes, sir.
I have heard of it, but I couldn't say one way or another simply because I've never actually looked into it.
How about the devil bird, or the lumama?
Lumama, that also sounds like something from the other side of the planet. Giant bird that preys on people out in the jungles.
How about the Patagonia alien?
I have never heard of the Patagonian alien unless that's that one that they named, I can't think. The little tiny body that they found in a cave, was that it?
I believe that was.
Okay, yes, I have heard of it. And of course, naturally, the body can no longer be found anymore. Somebody has spirited it away, and then they claimed it was something other. But it's probably real, but we'll never get an answer from the mainstream science on it.
How about a unicorn?
The unicorn, would you believe that the first reports of the unicorn were coming out of India?
Really?
The ancient Greeks used to refer to the unicorn as an animal living in the Indus Valley. It had one horn, but it didn't look like a horse with a spiral horn sticking out of its forehead. It looked a little bit more like a skinny rhinoceros, I think.
Mm.
But the original reports of the unicorn were out of India.
Last but not least, how about the werewolf?
Werewolves have got to be real. The thing is, are they people that turn into a wolf, or are they people that turn into something that's half man and half wolf? It's you've got the dog man sightings all over the country now. You've got, is it a dog man or is it a werewolf?
Mm-hmm,
what's the difference? They say it looks like a dog. Well, let's face it, a dog kind of looks like a wolf. Except my dog, he looks like a Shih Tzu because he is. But that would make a horrible monster, a giant Shih Tzu.
That would be very scary.
Especially the way he eats. But there's got to be something to all of these stories that have been spread throughout Europe and throughout the United States here recently. And the idea of a person being able to take on an animal's form, it's not solely to European folks. The Indians had the skinwalker, which was able to take on the form of an animal. It could be anything, coyote, wolf, whatever the person chose to take on the form of. Mm-hmm. So simply being a werewolf, perhaps it could be whatever particular creature a human can transform into. And whether or not people can do this or not, I tend to believe that it's possible more than not. Simply because there are so many reports of these creatures that people have seen, and it's not just coming out of one little spot on the planet, it's coming out from all over the place. So yeah, I do believe that there could be something like a werewolf out there.
That's where I'm going with this. There's actually a hidden gem in there. It was the devil bird, or the Lumama. It is a frightening horned bird of Sri Lankan folklore. It's an elusive creature that is rarely seen, but is often heard of in the form of its infamous blood-curdling screams. Its cries are said to resemble a wailing woman, and it's perceived by locals as an omen of death. For centuries, the nocturnal cries of the devil bird were the only evidence of its existence. Western science wrote it off as a mere superstition. However, in 2001, the devil bird was identified as a new species of owl. It's called the spot-bellied eagle owl. So cryptids can come out as real creatures.
It's going to be an interesting day when somebody actually finds a Bigfoot, either alive or dead, either way. Modern science, mainstream science is going to waltz in and say, okay, we'll take over for this now. You strange people go away. And then everybody's going to have to find something else to go look for.
Oh, that's very true. There's absolutely no way that any of us armchair investigators are going to get the time of day if someone actually brings in evidence or a body that proves conclusively. we don't have the credentials, we don't have the background. It doesn't matter what kind of evidence or documentation we have gotten, because we haven't proved it yet. Once it's proved, okay, now real scientists are going to have to go in and they're going to have to learn everything all over again that we may already know. I actually got into this argument one time, not that long ago, with someone who fancies themselves a pretty decent researcher and somewhat of a prolific author, still in a kind of a niche area, though, if you ask me, in Bigfoot. But they were making such broad claims about everything. We were talking about stick structures and their interpretations and their meanings and what they mean and everything else. And we just, it just went back to this person was on the thing that he's like, well, when it's finally proven, they're going to have to come to me and I'll be able to tell them all of this. And I was arguing with him saying, no, that's not going to work, because they're going to argue that the very first thing you had to do was, in order to know all this knowledge, you had to have first established the actual existence of Bigfoot. And since you have not done that, you've essentially put the cart before the horse. And that makes everything you say, therefore, hypothetical. And they're going to have to go over and redo every single step you did just to verify. I mean, even if they had proven, that's the first thing you do when you look at any theory or anything else, is someone else goes along and they reproduce it. Once it's reproducible, then it's true. And he did not like, it was, we just agreed to have different opinions ultimately. But that's just the nature of the beast. And you're right. Once they prove, mainstream scientists is going to come in here and not give anyone the time of day. I think you're right about that. Which brings up another question.
Yes.
What do you think is better? That it's conclusively proved, or that it's not?
It's the exact same way as I feel about Oak Island. Every time I watch an episode of Oak Island, I pray that Marty and his brother will find the treasure, and that they won't find the treasure. Because no matter what they pull out of the ground, it's not going to be enough. If they drag the Ark of the Covenant out of that hole, it's still going to be, is that it? Is that the whole treasure?
You don't want to see the mystery end at all, do you?
No. I've been looking into the Oak Island treasure. Yeah, you can even call it a treasure. We don't know. The Oak Island money pit. It's a money pit because people keep throwing money into it.
Isn't that the truth?
And they're getting anything back out. I've been following that thing for 30, 40 years. And if it gets proven one way or another tomorrow, it's not going to be enough. I don't want Bigfoot to ever be proven to be real or fake. The mystery of a large creature running around out in the woods like that makes life exciting, makes it interesting. If all the mysteries on the planet were proven tomorrow, what the heck would we do? We'd have to find new mysteries to go looking for.
Very much so.
Astutely said.
Hopefully, that makes sense to some people.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. There are, however, those of us out there who've been scared out of our campgrounds, who have had those experiences. And, I differ with some of them, because everybody calls themselves a knower that knows that. And I'm still a little bit, I'm a little bit on the fence with that, because we got scared of that campground, but it wasn't me who saw it. It was my wife at the time. And I had to extricate her from the situation, is what happened.
Yikes.
So I dealt with the immediate repercussions of it. And, but I can tell you from that, I'm 99% sure there was something there, and that something was on two legs and it was big and hairy. So, I'm stuck in this middle ground. I've been so close, but I haven't had it walk up and shake my hand yet. And because I'm just skeptical enough of a person, I can't make that leap until, it decides to rip my arm off. And that's probably what's going to end up happening to me at some point.
Well, me and my wife both saw a ghost. We know it was a ghost because of the way it disappeared into nowhere. And yet, I will look at 99% of the ghost evidence and go, that's not evidence. It's not good enough. I believe in ghosts. I've seen one, but still, I haven't seen any proof that they're out there, other than actually seeing one. But it's like a unexplainable situation. I believe in ghosts, but I don't believe most people who say they have a ghost. It's just
no, I can understand
one of those weird.
That makes perfect sense, actually.
The paranormal hunt is the fun of the whole thing. Whether or not the outcome is that you produce the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about learning for yourself.
So what's that guy that buried that treasure out in Arizona? I think his name is Fenn, and people are they're following the clues, and it gets out there in the wild, and they go hiking and camping and hunting, and I think they would be pretty much disappointed if somebody were to find the treasure and say, "Oh, here it is." What I really get a kick out of, though, are the people that write books on how to find the treasure. It's like, if they know how to find the treasure, what are they doing writing a book about it?
Well, that's what they've done. They found that treasure, and they're cashing it in book sales.
I don't think the treasure's been found.
No. I'm saying that their interpretation of the treasure is the book sales. I guess that's what I should be saying.
Well, there's that other one, the book, The Adventure, I think it's called, where the guy went around and he buried these plexiglass boxes all over the country, and you have to look at these paintings and interpret them, and then you have to go and find the buried treasure in these locations. And I remember seeing the book on the shelf way back when I was younger, and it's like, neat pictures, but I wasn't going to buy a copy of the book. And God, I forget what those things are selling for today, $300-400 a piece or something.
Wouldn't you know it?
And don't bother buying the reprints because they say that the artwork in them is horrible.
This is going to be the story with your reprints, with those particular, the edit copies that got out. Someday they're going to be $300 or $400. Think about that.
Who was it? John Kirk wrote a book called I think it was The Search for the Caborosaurus, I believe. And it was currently out of print. You couldn't buy it. And I was talking to John one time up in Jefferson. He's the guy from Canada. Big, tall guy with black curly hair. And he just mentioned that he had the book out. And so I sat down with my phone and I quickly looked to see if I could find a copy of it. And there was a copy being sold for, I think, it was $3,800. And so I ran up and I showed him the advertisement for it. And he's like, holy cow. He said he would never see a dime of that money, but somebody out there had a copy of his book, and they were trying to sell it for $3,800.
Good gracious.
I got a copy for $12, but the scary part is somebody's going to accidentally click on that button by mistake, and their bank account's going to be sadly pilfered. It is funny what some people will sell other people's work for, though. Dang.
It is.
It's quite interesting. Very, very so. Very, very much so. So tell me, Chris, how would you say that your interest in the paranormal, because you've had this long before you started your podcast. How has it shaped your life? How did you incorporate it?
It got me to looking at the world as a different place than most people. People get up in the morning, they go to work, they earn money, they come home, they pay their bills, they go to bed, they get up the next day, they go do it again. They don't really look all that happy. I get up, even when I was working for a living, before I retired, I would go out and I would look around at the world around me, and I would wonder what's out there that I'm not seeing, that I'm not noticing. It just made the world a much more interesting place to be.
I like that answer. That's a good one.
That's a very good answer.
It's like we would be sitting in a location on the river, and you hear a grunting noise. Sounds like two logs rubbing together, and you wonder, I wonder what that could be. What's making that sound? Is it something in the water? Is it something? I had no idea there are alligators in our river down here.
Oh my!
Some rather big ones too, and all the nights that I spent sitting on the banks of the river, and all the people that I've seen swim across that thing, and nobody's gotten bit yet, that as far as we know. But yeah, there apparently are a few alligators in the Rio Grande around Laredo. They've been spotted by people that know what an alligator looks like.
I had no idea. That's interesting.
No, I didn't think they were that far west.
We've had some other bizarre creatures. We've had mountain lions spotted all over the place out here. And according to the experts, there are no mountain lions east of Highway 35. And yet, 2 of my personal sightings were far east from Highway 35.
You mean west of 35?
No, east. There are mountain lions west of 35, but they say there are none east.
Oh, okay.
And I've seen 2 on the east side of Highway 35. I've talked to Chester Moore about it a few occasions, and he's like, yeah, the mountain lions know they're not supposed to cross that line. Of course, he's joking about it. There's somebody y'all need to talk to.
He's on the list. He's on the list. Chester is definitely on the list.
Quite a character.
Yeah,
we've had other creatures, regular animals sighted in and around Laredo that the folks in charge say shouldn't be in this area, but I guess the animals don't know they're not supposed to be around here. I'm hearing rumors that they're seeing jaguar in our neck of the woods.
Now I've been hearing jaguarundi because that goes into the black cat and everything else as well. But
yes,
no,
we've had jaguarundi spotted here in Laredo, and I mean in Laredo.
Right.
But they've got some game cameras where they're actually seeing jaguar. You know, those great big nasty things from South America that eat people. Apparently they're starting to show up in our neck of the woods, but the folks in charge say they're not supposed to be here.
Well, it's the whole thing about people are moving into the cities more. We're emptying the countrysides. We're leaving the rural area to become more rural. And everything is exploding. With farming and agriculture and everything else, the ecosystems are just booming. There's more food and therefore and less pressure, so everything's going up, and you're seeing all of these different species coming up. You know, I mean, this is why we have hogs and deer just about under every foot that you step on. You know, I mean, it's just right there.
Yes. I have seen quite a few deer down in sections of Laredo where you would not expect to see large hooved animals with horns running around. Antler, I'm sorry. But yeah, it's the animals don't know they're not supposed to be there.
No, they don't. We, in fact, just related to that, just what was it, yesterday? We were driving through a neighborhood here in Abilene, and I mean, we're talking fairly close to the center of town where we were at, and there was this full-size buck standing right in someone's driveway that as we drove down. And, I mean, there wasn't...
5 years ago, that wouldn't have been...
Yeah. This animal is 4 or 5, well, maybe 3 to 4 miles from the outer edges of the city. It really is towards the center of the city. And it's just standing there, just watching, watched us drive by. And, it's just like... And we're getting reports all the time now of cats and coyotes and We even had a bunch of hogs run across one of our main drags the other day, near the shopping center and everything. Actually, I say the other day, it was last year, but it was like 30 or 40 hogs just right across one morning.
It made the news.
Yeah, it made the news. Everybody was amused by it, but yeah, everything just in general, and I mean this is a trend that's going across the entire country for the most part. Nature is encroaching on the towns now. We don't have as many hunters. We don't have there's not enough pressure on the system anymore. There is an overabundance of cover, things like that, and everything has just exploded. And so nature is starting to come back to us. And all these urbanite kids who've grown up in the, playing the Xbox and everything else, they just don't know what to do.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting and scary when they start running the country. Oh, wait, I think they already are. But
they are. Welcome to it. We're already in the frightening and scary part there.
Sad facts of life.
Us old people are going to use cursive writing as a new code so that they don't know what we're writing, and we're going to put standard transmissions on all the cars so they can't drive.
I like that. That when I first heard that they had dropped cursive, our daughter was probably one of the last that was taught it in our school system. And they killed it not long after she made, I think, 8th grade, something like that.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, and so our little boy now, he's not going to learn it unless we teach him ourselves at home. And that is just so weird. But
they won't be able to read the documents from way back when.
Yeah, no one's going to be able to read the history. They're going to have to rely on a translated copy that puts it into type.
Or it'll be a new career choice. You can go to college and learn how to read cursive. Yes,
this is true. We need to just get frozen for 200 years, and then we're going to thaw out, and we have instant careers. We'd be able to be great archaeologists, and we can interpret all this. Oh, my goodness.
Well, it looks like we've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes.
We ought to have something. Yeah, we ought to have something useful here.
Well, like I said, I don't like editing, so I might just chop out a few little blurbs in the middle and just run it as it is.
That's fine. I'm thinking we're probably right along the same lines. Do you have any questions before we let you go?
The website, the name of it that y'all have?
Yes.
It is Cryptid Connection.
Give him the actual address. It's HTTPS.
HTTPS.
// Cryptid Connection.
CryptidConnection.
Yeah. Hopefully somebody will hear that and they'll say, "Ooh, I got to check that out."
Now, I want to say that this is important. There's something I want to say about the website before we get off. Part of the website is designed for security and for privacy. This is very, very much a exclusive club type situation that we're putting in. Specifically because on other parts of social media, people get followed, they get hassled. You'll get trolls, things like that. So we've got a few things that are in place that are designed primarily to stop that. One of them is that the website is subscription based. It's very low. It is at $5 a month. That being said, if you're not invested enough to where you can spend $5 a month, then you're probably not interested enough in the topic to really want to deal with the website. The reason why we're doing this is because it's a filter. We're honestly trying to say, hey, if you're really into this, this is what this is where you can go. Now, there is additional options. We try to verify you. We have an option where you can actually go with us and we can verify you and make you a verified member. And what that does is that literally we have gone through, verified you're a real human. You're not posing under a separate identity or anything else. You're known to the site. You get an endorsement on your membership if you are known, and once you go through this. Any of the other members can use that and know essentially we're dealing with the same person. Another reason why it's subscription based and everything else is because we can verify subscriptions. Most people aren't going to go through the trouble of taking multiple subscriptions out just to have multiple identities, and we try to do that. But people on a free network that we won't mention, they do it all the time, and so we're trying to give that security and that option. Something like that does cost money and time, and that's the other reason why I say, hey, it is a subscription. It's got to be self-supporting to an extent. It's not a whole lot, but it does have to.
But not only do you get your blogs and your groups that you can follow and post things, there are several other features that we have on the website, such as our Cook's Corner, which is an interesting little side project of mine. It's a submit your own camp favorite recipe. Say if you like to go in ufology, you go camping, you can go on this website and pick some new different recipes for your campsite.
This is your favorite way of heating up a can of Denny Moore, or something.
Or we have our resource library that we have added.
Yes, that's still growing, but that's user submitted also as well. As people have their resources online for various things. As far as like cryptology or cryptozoology goes, we've got like the Macaulay Library of Sound, and we've got one of Jeff Meldrum's he's got a journal that they publish, I think, every 6 months that's online. We've got several different websites and everything, and it's still growing as people submit them. And the whole idea is we have a central repository, we're building it, and people can come in, and these are actual, these aren't just so-and-so's website. These are the actual links to take you to this university or to, this museum site, something like that. Something
a little bit more professional.
Yeah, these are going to be actually accredited sites. That's our requirement on that. The one that I am the most proud of, though, actually, ironically enough, is what we call the Podcast Alley. And we actually are carrying you on this. Your show is one of them. And what we've done is we just take the various podcasts that are topic related,
topic centric.
Yeah, they're central to the topic, and if they're publicly available, we're just importing their RSS feeds, and so you can go to the main page and you'll see a list of 20 or 30 different podcasts, and we've got them broken up by different main topics, and you can click on each one, and those are live updated every hour. So that way you can go and see not just the latest version that has been released publicly, but you can see all the catalog that exists, so you can go back and you can read the descriptions and everything else. And it's just giving a central browsing point, because actually when you click on the actual podcast to listen to it, it's going to route to whoever actually hosts that podcast and everything. So we're not taking away from those podcasts or anything like that. All we're doing is we're giving you the place to look at everything at one time and to be able to make an informed opinion and everything. That's been a lot. I mean, I have been amazed at how often I have caught myself using it, and we're still adding podcasts to it as they come along and everything, but it's still kind of handy. And again, that's right there. That's only for members, but it's something, something you have. Another thing we have is, and it hasn't taken off too well yet, but I think that's only because not many people know about it. We have the Swap Shop. And the idea behind that is it's just an online flea market for members to coordinate with each other. Say you've got someone who's got night vision goggles that they want to sell because they're upgrading to a new one. or whatever. It gives you a place where you can do it, and you have a like-minded audience. So, you're more likely here than, say, throwing it up on Craigslist or eBay. You'll probably get a much more fair price here. We don't regulate that. We ask that you respect a few basic rules: no firearms, nothing that is restricted or anything like that. But other than that, if you want to sell your mixer or your 1972 Dodge or Ford Pinto,
or your old Coleman camp stove,
whatever, it's for the members. They can do what they want and everything. But again, it's all private. It is not visible on the internet. It's not going to come up on a search engine. We're not running advertisements. We don't want everything you do. It seems like everything you go online, everything is ad supported. Pop
up here, pop up there.
How is it that you go, you look something up, or you discuss something in a group, and a certain topic comes up? 30 minutes later, you're doing something totally different, and you have
a different website.
On a different website, but your topic or whatever you mentioned is popping up right there in an ad. That's a certain amount of just privacy that is invaded. It's violation. It's violation. It really is. Most of us have accepted it. It's the price of doing business. This is what we want and everything else. Honestly, I'm an HBO guy. I prefer my stuff without the advertising. That's just how I wanted, and that's how I always want everything. I hate Hulu. As a side note, just to give you an insight into my brain, I have Netflix. I have Amazon. I really don't want to have Hulu. I have Hulu because my daughter insisted on it. But the thing is with Hulu, their basic charge of like $7 or $8 a month still has commercials in it. And that really rubs me raw. Netflix, Amazon, all of them, HBO, no commercials as their standard price. If you and that's always the way I've been. It's like, if I'm going to pay for it, I don't want commercials. If I have commercials, I don't want to pay for it because my time is already paying for it.
Do you remember when they started putting little advertisements in books?
Vaguely, yeah.
You'd buy a book and you'd be thumbing through it, reading it, and you get right about to the middle, and there'd be like 2 or 3 color ads.
There would be, there are. You're right. I don't see it all the time, but I have seen that. And
out comes the knife.
Oh,
cut them out, throw them away.
Isn't it annoying?
I hated that.
Oh, I tell you what, it's just I can get them advertising a show on their own network. And it's like HBO. You sit there, you're going to watch Game of Thrones, and here comes a little 1-minute commercial for Westworld or something like that. That I can understand. That's acceptable. It's still topic-centric to what I'm doing, but it's within the HBO thing. That's what I'm wanting to do with Cryptid Connection. I'm wanting to make it HBO for the paranormal community. I don't want to have anything else. I don't want to have any of this outside stuff. Everyone in the world is trying to monetize in such, that's the name of the game in the world. Everyone has to make their money and everything else. It's just dirty.
We're all about sharing our information.
Yeah. I just,
that's what Cryptid Connection is about.
I'm not here to make, we're not going to be rich. We don't want to do anything. I would be really happy if this supports our hobby and lets us go in the field like twice a month. That would be awesome. If it does that and it pays for the server, we're great. So, but yeah, that's the idea behind the site. The site's origin, and I think this is important to say, the site's actual origin originally came up when we were in the field. What was it, last May? No,
a year and a half ago.
About a year and a half ago. And we had brought a friend out that was, she was female, let's say. And one of my research partners that are out there that came out that time was a confirmed bachelor. And they had hit it off. And it was kind of an instantaneous hit it off too. It was within one weekend. And I remember we were talking around the campfire, and everyone was talking about how odd it was to date with Bigfoot in your life.
Or any paranormal.
Or any paranormal thing. Just what do you do with that bone in your closet? You know, how is it that you confess to whoever this is? Because 99% of whoever you were going to date would not have been interested. It's just not something that's there. It's not something that you can list on a dating site or anything else. And the very first thought I thought was, we should make a Bigfoot dating site. And then from that, I was like, no, we've got to be bigger than that. We got to be better. Because then I realized, no, it's not just dating. Because people in general can't meet up with each other. They can't share and coordinate. Everyone's afraid of the internet kind of a thing. And everyone's afraid that they're going to take, you're going to rob and take their site, or that you're going to spoil it. Secrets are all out and everything else. We're getting past that. We're getting past the trolls. We're getting past the lurkers. Who's there is a real person, and we're taking steps to verify that. Now, if they want to join, the first month is free. It is set up that way. So you can go in, you can play with it for a month, cancel that subscription if you want, and you're never going to get billed. The caveat to that is you do have to go ahead and fill out the application, fill out the payment information. We don't deal with that. That's a third-party processor. But by doing that, I left that in there specifically because that is a level of importance to you. That's you taking a step. And if you'll invest yourself that much, then you're not.
It's a commitment.
Right, yeah. You're chances are you do not have foul intent. You're not going to go there and troll everyone. That you can go do that on other places, and it's not going to cost you. So, anyway, I hope that made sense to everybody. And on our podcast, you're going to hear more about it and everything. There you go. Do you have anything else, Chris? I'm sorry I just started rambling, but
That's perfectly all right by me because I do the same thing all the time. That's the nice thing about having your own podcast. You can say darn near anything you want.
this is true. This is true.
And
As long as
everything.
you're willing to put up with the people that will come out and say bad things about you.
Yeah. They can. I've heard it all before. I'm sure I'm going to hear new things too, but heck with it. Tell them to get on the podcast.
Exactly. We're ready for the next great adventure. We don't look back.
I can honestly say we're not armchair people. We actually get out there and we really do it. Those items on the reviews pages and everything else, I write those reviews because I've broken the equipment and I know how good it was. It's that kind of a thing. So
I'm going to have to run. I think my wife wants to make dinner.
that's fine. You go ahead. We've got to get off too, but it's been a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Chris. Have a good
I
night.
appreciate y'all having me on your show, and I appreciate y'all coming on my show at the same time.
Every cowboy, he always misses when he's aiming at the target in his head. And every broken man finds his idle hands grasping at tomorrow's promised land. And I've been thinking about running, and I'll get out on the town just for myself. And that's when I saw her, and she looked right through me. And when I said I do that day, I really do. 'Cause every cowboy, he always misses his shot when he's aiming at the target in his head. And every broken man finds his And I've been thinking about riding, and when I get the first draft back with no red ink, but I've been thinking to do my best work. Yeah, I've gotta leave this town to find my way. And when that plane touched down on that island town, I knew that my life's work was in their hands. So I started digging for wells of water, and I'm a hero in their eyes. It's clear to see. 'Cause every cowboy, he always misses his shot when he's aiming at the target in his head. And every broken man finds his idol hand, grasping at tomorrow's promised land. And I've been thinking about the time that I have wasted sitting here. 'Cause I've been thinking that all this thinking is the thing